Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage. Welcome to Age of Wonders 3. No, this isn't going to be a Let's Play, this is actually just going to be a first impressions, a little look at one of the DLC expansions that came along, which is the External Lords expansion. I mean, it says a DLC, but it's probably more of an expansion when you consider how much stuff this adds. I've always found it a little bit strange. I remember years ago when I used to play games, DLC, there was no such thing really, and everything that a game had was an expansion. And now everything seems to be a DLC, and the lines between them have become a little bit blurry. Now, there is another DLC expansion for this game, which is, I believe, called the Golden Realms, which I don't have, but I got sent a key for the External Lords expansion from the publisher. And I feel a little bit bad that I never got around to covering it. Now, any of you watching this that are regulars to my channel will probably know that I got Age of Wonders 3 when it first came out. And I played it for a fair bit. I've put about 30 hours into it. And I've played through a couple of campaigns, one of which I did on the channel. And the only thing that I didn't really like about it was the actual strategic city or strategic empire management side. I found it to be a little bit too simplistic. I was basically just spamming cities everywhere, building whatever buildings I wanted. I wasn't worried about things like morale. It didn't really matter. It was all down to the combat system. And the combat system in this game I absolutely love. If I could take the strategic empire management system from Civilization 5 and add that to the turn-based tactical combat system of Age of Wonders 3, I would have the perfect game. But the fact that I found the strategic management side just a little bit too watered down did put me off from playing any more of it in the future. So the External Lords expansion has come along, and ignoring some of the single-player stuff that it adds, because well, not single-player, but story mode stuff, it adds a campaign with 3 new endings, but it adds a lot of stuff to the game in general. You've got 2 new races, you have a new class, you've got some new units, you've got some new mechanics within the game, you've got a new victory condition. So we're going to have a quick look through. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with a new random map, and we'll have it on all the normal settings, all of the default stuff. We'll just have the do we just want the land? I think we do, that's fine. We'll just leave it on everything there. Do we need to change anything else? I think we're just going to have everything on standard. Yeah, that'll be fine. We just want the surface. We're not going to have the underground on, so let's just go in and we will pick our leader. So there's a couple of different now, where are we? I never like having simultaneous turns on in this game. I've always preferred classic because it's more like Civilization. So for those of you who don't know the difference in turns, classic turns basically means the player takes their turn and moves all of their units, and then you click end turn and the AI moves all of theirs. If you play on simultaneous turns, then everyone moves their units at the same time, which sometimes means that one army can jump on top of another army or can escape another army. I've never liked it on that. I like it on classic. Now, the Unifier Victory, this is one of the new victory types that's actually been added in this expansion. And what it does is you can get your governance level up with different races within the game. So if you haven't played this game before, you start off by picking a character, your hero, which is it's your avatar, and you pick their race and you pick their class. Now, whatever race you start off, say you start off as human, then you will start off with a human city. And any settlers that you produce from that city will be human settlers and spawn more human cities. But as the game goes on, you can capture other cities, and you can basically create cities that are elven or dwarven or halfling. So you can get all of these different sort of races mixed in. And each of these races has a different governance level, which is how much they like you, essentially. If you can get your governance level high enough with a race, then in that city you can build these unifier beacons. And if you build enough unifier beacons, then you can win the game in that manner. So that's one of the new victory types that has been added. And it tells you how many beacons you actually need to do it, to actually get that victory type, and you can go and put the number of beacons up. We're not going to get to endgame here, because this is literally just going to be a sort of a first look, so I'm not even going to turn that on. So let's go ahead and just launch, and we'll get into our character creation screen. So first of all, they have added 2 new races. Let's go into custom, and we'll do it this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to customize new. And first of all, let's just have a look at the 2 new races that have been added in this expansion. So first of all, you've got the Frostling. The Frostlings are essentially a humanoid race. They were humans once upon a time. And they're resistant to the effects of cold, but they are more vulnerable to fire damage. They do frost damage, and their support units can chill enemies and reduce defenses. So they like fertile plains, they dislike being underground and blighted area, and they hate volcanic and tropical. They don't like the heat. They get 60% frost protection, but they also get 40% fire weakness. Arctic running, so they move faster in snowy areas. They also have fast embark, which I think means they don't take a penalty for... is it on here somewhere? I think fast embark means you don't actually take penalties when fighting on water, because it's like the humanoid ability. And their war halls cost 50 gold less. So that's the Frostling race. And the second race added in this expansion is this one, the Tigran. So the Tigrans, or the Tigrans, they're very fast and agile. They're resistant to mind controlling effects, but they're more vulnerable to other elements, especially cold. And they can move more quickly in combat than other races, and they have a pounce ability that allows them to leap over walls and other obstacles. Now they like the Barons, but they hate the Arctic and Blighted. They get night vision, they get predator and athletics. So predator, I think, is the pounce ability. The athletics is the increased agility. Barons running, so they move faster in the Barons. They get a 40% resistance to magic overall, but they do get -1 resistance to... is that holy? Can never remember. It's been a long time since I played this. They cost a little bit of extra gold, and they do have some frost weakness. So those are the 2 new races. And then as far as classes go, there's 1 new class, and that class is the Necromancer. So the Necromancer has access to powerful summoning spells. They can convert units and cities into undead ghouls. Undead units and cities ignore most morale and happiness penalties, but they are vulnerable to spirit damage attacks. So we've got that. There's also some things they've added in here as well, I think, into the actual specialisations. Let's just untick the specialisations and just double check, see what we've got everything here. I think it's these ones, the Grey Guard Adept. The Grey Guards seek balance between the good and evil. To gain military and economic advantage. Their magic is focused on cleansing the essence of unnatural beings, which they can manipulate to heal their armies or absorb for magical power. So as long as your leader is neutral, all your cities gain additional population, and as a Necromancer, your cities gain an extra 25 population. So that's the Grey Guard Adept. I'm sure there was a couple of others in there as well. It's probably this one, actually the Keeper of the Peace and the Shadowborn. So before we always had Destruction and Creation Adept. But now you've got the Keeper of the Peace. They're dedicated to the path of good. If you have additional 75 relation with independent cities. And then you have the Shadowborn Adept, which pikemen and infantry units cost 5% less gold to produce. So you've got some extra options in there. What I'm going to do, though, I'm not going to go ahead and create a custom character. I'm going to use one of the ones that they have actually added, because we've got this guy here. We have Arvik the Dark. He's pre-made for us. He is a Frostling Necromancer. He's an Adept of Earth. He is an Adept of Fire, and he is Destruction Adept. So let's just go ahead and we'll start a game using this guy. And then hopefully, see if I can remember how to play. So one more new feature that they've added in this expansion is there are global events. There are events that trigger randomly every now and then. And you will be given, it will basically affect things on the battlefield. So it can shake up the game and how it works. Now another thing that's quite nice as well, if we go ahead and we actually look in one of our cities, we can see that this city is an undead city. So it's an undead city. It is not affected by happiness. Now, it's a little bit hard to show a particular mechanic with the undead, but one thing that we will actually have is, in this expansion, individual relations with various different races. So it used to be, if I was playing, let's say that I'm playing as the undead, and I capture an elven city. So I now have a city that belongs to me, and its population is elven. I could switch it and force them to become undead, but let's just say I have an elven city. If I then go to war and attack another elven city, even if it's an enemy city, my elven population will actually dislike me. Their governance will go down. So it actually adds a bit more of a political element to the game, which is going to make things a little bit easier. Let's just go ahead and just play a few turns, see what we can get. We've got a hero wanting to join right from the start. It's another necromancer, which we don't really need because we've already got one, but we'll grab one anyway. Why not? It's the start of the game. It's not going to be a long game. We don't have a lot of time to mess around. So, oh look, and I got a Steam achievement. Fantastic. So we've got our main army here. So that's me. I have some abilities. I have Raise Corpse, Heal Undead. What do we have here? Let's just have a look. So, Raise Corpse, so it's a short range and it can only be used once per battle. It raises the corpse of a dead unit as a cadaver to serve in battle. The cadaver will continue to serve you after the battle ends, but rapidly perish if not continually healed. And I can also heal undead, so I can restore 20 health to a target-friendly undead unit. Now, outside of combat, we can heal up as well. And we've also got Black Bolts that does some blight damage and some frost damage. So that is our main character. We've also got these ghouls, these frostling witches, and they have Castigate, which is basically 4 frost 4 fire damage, and Grant Frozen Flames, which I believe is a buff. So the target unit receives Inflict Chilling, 80% fire protection, and +2 and +2 frost and +2 fire damage to melee ranged attacks. So they are a bit of a buff giver. We've also got the Royal Guard. The Royal Guard have the Pledge of Protection, so this unit gains +2 defense and links itself to a target-friendly Frostling hero, Frostling Queen, Frostling Witch, or Frostling female unit that is not already linked. Damage dealt to the linked unit is reduced by 35% and dealt to this unit instead. So this works a little bit like one of the abilities the Paladins used to have in World of Warcraft, where you could basically link yourself with somebody else and share the damage with them. So that's quite a nice little thing there. They've also got Arctic Concealment. They're invisible on Arctic terrain. Inflict Frostbite, which they also have. An Explosive Ice Death. When the unit dies, it explodes, dealing 10 physical and 10 frost damage to all units within a 1 hex radius. That's quite nice. We also have here a Ghoul Frostling Raider, and they are quite simple, it seems. They do have improved wall climbing. They also have Demolisher, so they do extra damage against machine units and obstacles. Fast Embark. Yes, the unit doesn't pay extra movement points when disembarking. In addition, the unit doesn't require any movement points to embark onto a water hex, though embarking may still soak all the movement points the unit has remaining. Fair enough. And obviously they all have the Ghoul modifier and the Undead modifier. Ghoul units have been made undead by vile magic, so they have a 20% spirit weakness and -1 to their defense. And they're undead, which means they have 100% blight protection, 40% frost protection, 40% spirit weakness, and 20% frost weakness, fire weakness. And they cannot regenerate. Undead units ignore morale bonuses and penalties. Yeah, so units don't regenerate, unlike living units, so they will have to be healed. And then finally, we have the Frostling Ice Scaper. And these guys can throw an ice ball, so they're just like a sort of basic ranged unit. And they have Shatter Strike as well. The unit's weapon can easily shatter ice and stone. The unit deals an additional 5 melee damage against stone skin, frozen and petrified units. So there's some fairly good synergy going on here with some of the units. We have one random unit over here. That's actually our leader, because we have another unit here. Look at this. This is a Ghoul Frostling Mammoth Rider. Look at that thing. This thing has wall-crushing, devastating charge. It's cavalry. It's mounted. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to select one of these units we have 2 of, like the Witch, and we'll move that witch over to this army, and then we'll move this guy over and add him to our main stack. And this army is going to be very, very exciting later on. So we'll go ahead and do a bit of exploration. There are some new items and things we'll see on the map, so there are going to be some new things that we can move around and explore and attack. So we'll keep looking there. Looks like we've got a little stash of gold, but we can't quite reach it. We haven't selected a skill to research yet. Let's just go ahead and pick up Necromancy 1, so we can do some more casting when we get to battle. We need to go and produce something in our city, and this was one of the parts that I never liked because I never really found it all that appealing and all that in-depth. I think what we'll do though is we'll go ahead and get a shrine first so we can start getting some additional mana. So let's go ahead and queue that up, and then we will get ourselves a builder's hall so we can start getting some extra production in there. So we'll just go ahead and just uncheck all of the warnings there because we don't really need that. You can still move a little bit. Let's get you back up here to the road. There's actually some units up there. What do we actually have here? We have a Dwarven Reanimator and a couple of Lost Souls. So we could probably actually take them out. I don't think we can do it on this turn. We're just out of movement points. So let's go and end the turn. So this is mainly just going to be a look so we can, you know, sort of see what's going on with this expansion. Have a go with the new units and see what we have in there. Let's do a little bit more of a run around here. Maybe don't want to get into attacking things with this unit because it's a very sort of basic unit, even though it does have a leader with it. But let's go in here and have a little look at the combat. So it says we're very, very likely to win this. The Gift of Necron. Whenever a unit dies, the unit who killed it is healed for 15 health. That's quite an interesting thing there, isn't it? So all of our units are undead, as signified by the little skull next to them. Let's go in and do manual combat, because it's Age of Wonders 3. Why would you not want to do manual combat in this game? So they get to move first. And if any of you watching this are not familiar with Age of Wonders and its combat system, basically you take it in turns and all of your units have 3 movement points, or 3 action points. Which you can see when you have a unit selected at the top here, you have the green, the yellow and the orange lights. And those correspond with the green, yellow and orange hexes on the floor. So if I move, say I've got the mammoth selected here, if I move within the green hexes, it won't actually cost me a movement point. If I move to the yellow hex, it'll cost me 1 movement point. If I move to the orange hexes, it will cost me all of my movement points. Even when you've used all of your movement points, you can still attack. And if you move to the pink area here at the back, that means you can retreat. You can attack with your units in pretty much any order that you want to. I always found it hard getting the camera angle quite right in this thing. I think is it this one? Toggle field of view. Yeah, that was always a slightly better way of being able to see what was going on. So we've got our leader over here. Let's just have a quick look in his spell book. See if we've got anything we can cast. So we've got a standard fireball. We've also got desecration. This defiles the battlefield. Devout units suffer -3 and it bestows +3 on all undead units. Can never remember what that symbol is for. Is it resistance? Let's go ahead and cast it. Because we can, so let us cast that spell, and it will be on the whole battlefield. Now, they're not devout units, so we don't have to worry about that, but it gives us a little bit of something to play with. Let's just go and move forward with our Royal Guards here. Now, we could charge with our Mammoth, but he's a little bit too far away to actually charge in, so we'll just move him over here so he's a little bit closer. Can't move with our leader anymore, because we've already used him to cast a spell. And we'll just move forwards with some of these... just move forwards with some of these other units. Now you'll also notice as well that some of them have these little blue circles, and that's when you've got a ranged unit. So with a ranged unit, a solid circle is any hex that you can reach with your ranged attack. Now you can also reach the broken circles, but you will take a ranged penalty because it's outside of your optimal combat range. We will move forwards with these Frostling Raiders, but before we do, we'll go ahead and we'll take our Frostling White Witch, and we will put Frozen Flames onto these guys. At least we would do if I remembered it was right-click. So they do have to be adjacent, so they do move forwards. So these guys now have a buff, so we can move them up here. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and end the turn. And that'll automatically put anybody into a guard defensive stance if we haven't used all of their movement. So you can retaliate if you've got some movement saved, and we have with most of our units here. So you probably can't charge because you are too far away and you're a little bit blocked from reaching anything, which is problematic. Let's see if we can get you to kill this unit. It's quite weak. And I actually see that we have a weird... So maybe we can actually resurrect enemy units to fight for us as well. If we go ahead and click our leader, and we do have this raise corpse ability. Doesn't look like we can actually reach that. Okay, let's just see if we can find a little bit of space then. Let's see if we can... What do we got here? Let's attack you guys and get you guys finished off if we can. There we go. You were killed nice and easily. So let's try this again. If I select you and use your raised dead, target cannot be affected. Any particular reason? What about if we move you forward? Can we get you over here? I'm trying to remember the controls. I love the music of this game. It's absolutely fantastic. So, raise corpse. Yeah, it doesn't work on you. Okay, that's fine. We'll keep our white witch at the back. You've made all of your movement. You're going to struggle to get through. You're kind of in the way. I'm going to move you right over here. Let's right-click to move. So let's get this thing right over in the corner there. And we'll just basically end the turn. They've only got one unit left. We'll let him come to us. There's not an awful lot he can do. A couple of ranged attacks on our leader. And we could go ahead and just throw in a fireball. I want to do some damage with this mammoth though. I want to get this guy to charge in. So we're far enough away to be able to charge. I think you have to be 4 hexes away to charge. So let's just go in and charge at them. And look at that, 21 damage. It was a massive, massive hit. And then we could go in and maybe we could cast a spell. We've got our black bolts, of course. We could use those as well. Again, right click, not left. So they've got blight protection, so we're only doing a bit of frost damage there. It's not an awful lot that we can do against them. You guys can go in and attack. They do have some frost protection, but we should be able to get a second hit out of them. And there's our first encounter completed. And we gained some population in our city. And we also... Oh, that's another thing. They've also added quite a few more hero items to the game as well. So there are still ways to forge your own, but they've also added new ones. These high heel black leather boots, which actually look quite feminine, give +1 defense. So we might as well take them. And we can go ahead and put them on our leader. Very dashing. So we are still neutral at the moment. We've got high morale, which is strange because technically we're not undead. So the frostlings aren't undead. Because you can have a frostling that isn't a necromancer. It's kind of weird because the frostling and the necromancer do kind of go well very, you know, they do go together very well. It's kind of like the Lich King from World of Warcraft or the White Walkers from Game of Thrones. They just seem to mesh. But you could have a frostling warlord or mage and you could have a human necromancer. So you don't necessarily have to be undead to be a frostling. Although I am surprised that the necromancer themselves doesn't automatically become undead. But I suppose they don't need to. So we can go ahead and move around a little bit more with this unit because we didn't really use much or any of our movement. So let's continue to use the roads and just see what we can find. We'll go have a look down there on the next turn. That looks like it could be interesting. Let's move around with you, see what you can run into. You can't move very far very quickly, which is disappointing. Let's go ahead and end the turn. And a new day dawns. So what have we got over here? We have a tower with a few things. And now we're going to be fighting against some of the Tigran or the Tigran units. So we're actually going to see one of the other new race types in the game. So not only do necromancers have their own unit types, but you've also got the fact that there are unit types added by the Frostlings, and there are also unit types added by the Tigrans as well. So you've actually got quite a bit of content. I think there's something like 50 new units in total added to the game. So it's actually really, really good. Let's go ahead and get this guy to use its Pledge of Protection on... there's not an awful lot that we can reach, actually. Let's give up on that for a moment. Let's just use our Mammoth and let's just go ahead and... We could charge in there, but they have pikes and they have First Strike, which means they can do quite a lot of damage to our little elephant there. Maybe we could go in and cast a spell. Maybe we could do something like Fireball and just drop it straight on them. They do have fire protection, of course, so that wasn't particularly useful. So, as you can see, we can hit these guys with our ranged attack, but that little yellow dotted line is showing us that we're going to get a ranged penalty. We could move forwards here into the green area, which would put us closer, but we would still get the ranged penalty. Now, ranged penalty is minus 50%. So, we could get 3 attacks. We've still got all 3 of our movement. So, 3 attacks at minus 50% would be 50, 50, and 50, 150. Or we could move 1 tile forwards, which would now only allow us to have 2 attacks, but it'd be 2 attacks at 100%, which would be 100 and 100 plus 200. So as I've always said, 2 attacks at 100% is better than 3 attacks at 50%. So let's go in and do those ranged attacks. We actually managed to chill them on that one as well. Now I can't really reach them with anything else. They still have First Strike. Let us go ahead and just move some of our other units forward. I think you guys should actually get a shot at them as well. Throw some snowballs at them. Didn't do a lot of damage. Now, one thing to remember in this game is it isn't like Civilization 5. A unit which is half dead still does just as much damage as a unit that is fully healed. There's you guys, of course. We can actually go ahead and attack. Now, they will retaliate, but they've also lost quite a bit of health. And so did we. I think what we can possibly do is actually just charge in with the Mammoth now. They do have First Strike, but obviously they've used their movement a little bit. We didn't quite get to finish them off there, but let's go ahead and end that turn right here. They're probably engaged. There's not a lot they can do. They're going to move some of their other units in. That was actually quite a bit of damage they did right there. We might actually lose a unit here. Not too sure what just happened there, but we did lose a unit. So what we could do now is try and take our leader and try this raised corpse thing again. Apparently we're either not in range or we are blocked on line of sight. Let's go and move up to here and see if we can do it. So we want to try and raise dead. Yep, let's use that ability. Again, I did the usual thing of hitting left click instead of right. So we can now raise dead and we get ourselves a unit to fight for us. So we have these cadavers. So let's get this guy to do some damage over here. We can actually use him on the turn that we summon him as well, which is really, really nice. We can get you guys to do your kind of buff thing with the White Witches, but I think we might be better off just attacking these guys directly. They seem to have quite a bit of defense, but should be able to finish them off with the White Witches there. And we'll run in with the elephant. We can't really charge because they're too close, but that's them all finished off. So, we actually lost one of our units, but we did then kind of regain it because it technically came back as a cadaver. Or did we lose another one there as well? Gained 100 population. So, we've only got 5 units now. Now, one thing that you can do is we should have an ability, I think you start with one, to summon a lost soul. And a Lost Soul is a tier 1 infantry unit. So let's go ahead and click that, because it will take a couple of turns for us to be able to get enough magic to do that. And let's just continue to move around on the battlefield. We'll see what else we can find. We're getting some very, very strange, noises. We've got a tomb, which we're not going to go in, especially with our really small unit that has nobody in it. So let's click to end the turn. Yeah, one thing I've always really loved about this game is the map. I mean, the visuals of the game are absolutely fantastic. It is a beautiful, beautiful looking game. Oh, another gold stash right there. It is a beautiful looking game, and as you zoom out, the strategic map actually just turns into this sort of hand-drawn parchment map, and I think that really, really looks beautiful. I love the way that they did that. Presentation-wise, there is nothing bad about this game. You know, I love everything about it. It is absolutely beautiful. So we've got a few nice abilities and spells that we can have in here. We've got things like Master of Puppets, that's a Necromancer ability. All of our ghouls get an extra 300 happiness, or 300 morale. Vampiric Hunger, which is another Necromancer ability. Troops are initiated in the dark necromantic magic. Undead, irregular infantry and pikeman units gain life-stealing ability. That would be quite useful when you consider the fact that undead units don't naturally heal. They have to be healed by magic. Giving them a vampiric ability is actually quite useful. Dark Ritual gives... sacrifices 150 population to spawn 3 cadavers near the target's own city. But it also transforms 20% of the city's terrain to blight. Now, do we like blight as a nation? I don't think it bothers us. We used to be able to go and see what we liked. Nope, that's the thingy. Can't remember where it tells us what we like and what we dislike. But I thought we were okay in blight, but that seems like a bit of a weird ability anyway. What else have we got? Produce Reanimator, which would then allow us to summon a Banshee, but that's basically, it's a unit type upgrade. And I think most of the other ones there are all sort of basic ones. Stoning, I don't ever remember that before. Oh, that's one of the Adaptive Earth ones. Pelts a barrage of rocks at your enemy, dealing 24 melee damage against the enemy target. And Death Ray is a Necromancer one as well. That could be quite nice. Let us go ahead and grab Death Ray. It'll be quite quick to get. Army requires orders. We're just going to have a quick look around, see what we can find. We don't want to run into anything that we can't handle. So I'm just going to run back. And we'll use this army to continue exploring. Now, this is volcanic, which means we're not really going to like it here. We don't want to fight here. We can go ahead and fight in this area. We've got some elves to fight against this time around. So let's go in and we'll do one more combat before wrapping up the video. I haven't really got any intention to play through this game right the way. Not for a while. I just mainly wanted to actually have a look and... just see the new units, see the new class types, and just see if we get one of the random events to pop. I'm not too sure how often that those events pop, and I don't have a list of what all the events do, but one of them, as it does actually say on the Steam page, there's one event that brings down like a mist on the entire battlefield, which does damage to machine units and stuff like that. So there is some quite interesting stuff going on. Now, we can't do any magic on this turn because we're actually using all of our magic abilities to make that spell that we're trying to do on the tactical map. We can still use some basic magic here. What do we want to do, actually? Yeah, we don't have enough mana in the kitty to be able to do desecration. We can do a fireball, though. Let's go and drop the fireball on the swordsman because it'll do the most damage. I think I seem to have managed to put it on to the fastest speed. I'm not sure how I managed to do that. You can just go ahead and... I should have moved closer because we were a little bit too far away for that. We'll run in with you guys. Yeah, if you double right click, it actually moves you at full speed. What have we got? We've got you guys. You guys can't really do anything, so let's just end the turn. They'll all get to move. They're not going to be able to do a lot of damage to us. Although those shocking bolts are doing quite a bit of damage to the mammoth there. That is a very nice unit. They're going to back up so they can fire. We might actually lose the mammoth here. And indeed we did. They get a flanking shot. Well, you guys can go in and get some flanking hits from behind. Well, at least the first one will be a flanking hit. Little bit suicidal. We actually killed ourselves there. But then we can go ahead with our leader and we can use another raised corpse. Oh, they're out of range. That's the problem. Okay, let's get you and move you over here. See, we could even raise corpse on the mammoth, but of course it's still only going to just come back as a cadaver. Which is a little bit strange. But we can use that cadaver straight away. It's actually engaged to this unit here, so we'll have to... We only get sort of one attack. You guys can finish that off. You can move up to there and get 2 shots at full strength. And we actually got the kill. And we've got to end turn because there's nothing else we can do. They've only got one unit left, one archer. He's just going to run away. Don't have our cavalry unit now, which means we're lacking in charge. They've managed to kill that unit. We can, of course, charge in with our leader, because our leader is still technically a cavalry unit. And one hit finishes them off. And we gain some more population. So what is there to say about this? Is that a new thing? A lost library. I don't think I remember them before in the previous in the previous incarnations of the game. So lost libraries actually give you some extra knowledge, so some extra research. So they have added a lot of new things to the game, and I think if Age of Wonders 3 is a game that you already enjoy, I think for the current price, which I think is 15 British pounds, which I guess is going to be about 20 US dollars, it's probably going to be a really good buy for you because, like I said, 2 new races, a new class, a few new specialisations, dynamic events, a new victory condition, rebalancing to the way that morale and happiness works, new heroic items. There's quite a lot of stuff added, and that of course isn't counting the single player campaign that has 3 different endings. So yeah, I think it's actually quite a good value for money expansion pack. I don't know whether or not I'm actually going to play any more of it because, like I said, my main problem with Age of Wonders is that I don't really like this bit, the strategic management. Yeah, running around and, you know, finding stuff on the map is cool, but the actual founding of cities and building buildings, I don't find this bit particularly in-depth. And if you're looking at this and thinking, well, why not? It's quite similar to Civilization 5. It is similar in the way that it looks, but in Civilization 5, you have to be very, very careful about what you build and in what order, because some things take so long to build, and some things give you very little benefit. So you really have to be picky and choosy about what you build in what order, because you will never be able to build everything in every city. The last time I played this game, I was able to pretty much just spam whatever building I wanted anywhere, and it didn't seem to make much of a difference what I got and where. That said, of course, the game has been rebalanced slightly, so things may be a little bit better in that respect. But this has been Age of Wonders 3, the Eternal Lords DLC. And like I said, if you like Age of Wonders 3, then I would check it out. I think it is a decent expansion for the money. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.